Hi, I'm here with Cary Harrod, and if you read my last blog entry, you saw that I mentioned a group called the Merakis. And I'm fortunate enough to have Cary here with me to be able to talk about it, so I have a whole host of questions for her that I'm going to go through and that she'll be able to help shine a light on what this group does, its purpose, and a little bit more that can give you some great information, maybe possibly for your district. So, Cary, why did you name this group the Meraki?
Well, it didn't necessarily start out that way. I think, though, that I had, around that same time, I had come across the word. And I just loved it so much and looked it up, and it meant doing something with passion. And I've been really highly interested in personalized learning and very passionate about it. And so it just really seemed to fit the bill well. And so I said we had a very small group in the beginning, and I just said, what do you guys think about the Merakis? And it just kind of clicked, and we've kept that ever since. And it's just, it's a terrific definition of what we believe about that group.
Well, that's a great segue into the next question. So, why did you form the group Meraki, and what were your initial goals, and have those goals changed over time?
Okay. So initially, I've been studying personalized learning probably at least 3 years, and I think even prior to that, before those terms, which have really been around a long, long time, but before those terms became very popular in recent years. So I've been really interested and just studied and took classes. And I was looking in my role as the instructional technology specialist for the district. I was looking for an opportunity to get back in the classroom, having been out for 10 years, and seeing if anything that I was learning about would resonate or would work or made any sense really inside a real classroom. So I went to my boss at the time, Natasha Adams, and I just asked her if I could, in effect, move in with Hannah Hill, sixth grade ELA teacher over at Air Elementary. And thankfully, she said yes, that I could. And the one thing that we were a little bit worried about was that it would take up quite a bit of my time. And so I came up with the idea of a learning circle. And I said, how about if I put out to every ELA teacher, grades, I think it was 3 through 6, that if they wanted to follow our progress, I was going to be blogging about it, and Hannah would be blogging about it. If they wanted to follow our progress and also start reading some articles each week, that we would invite them to do that, and for full participation, we would give them an iPad at the end. And so initially, it started with Hannah and myself, and then we ended up, I believe, with 4 other teachers, and I want to say they were all sixth grade teachers, I believe. And so I worked with Hannah from kind of beginning towards the end of January of 2016, and then through April, May. And so they followed during that time. Well, as more and more people were talking about it at their individual schools, so these were teachers from all across the district, people just became more and more interested. Simultaneously, I was working with Kathy Kohlmeyer, our math specialist, with a group called Fuse, and that really the focus with those math teachers, grades 3 through 6, was personalized learning. So we had kind of 2 different tracks going, and more people just started becoming more interested in that idea of personalized learning. So I gained some traction there, and at this point we have I think it's about 18 teachers from our district that come to my house. And it's during the school year we meet, I would say, once a month. And during the summer, though, we met once a week.
Wow.
Yeah, we just
I
could
didn't know
not.
that.
Yeah, we could not get enough. And it's all like voluntary. Nobody has to come. So it's just been really an interesting experience for us, and has grown, and just excited about it.
Awesome. So during those meetings, do you have agendas, or is there a set structure or any kind of pattern you generally follow?
Well, I think one of the things that I always felt was that we wanted it to be as organic as possible. I think sometimes, and I'm really guilty of this, we have the need or whatever to formalize everything that we do. and to the detriment of just sometimes having that bubbling up. And I often wonder if that's why this has been so popular, is that it's not, nothing, no conversation is mandated. No one person gets to dictate what we're going to talk about. It really just bubbles up from the experiences that we're having inside the classroom. So what I typically do before a meeting is I'll put out an email and just say, is there anything specific that anybody wants to talk about? We do have a Google Doc, so I'll just add that to the Google Doc. And then when everybody gets there, I like to start out kind of on a real positive note, and I'll say something like, why don't we just go around the group? Because it's also essential to me that, as somebody that loves to talk, that it isn't, there isn't one person that's dominating the conversation. So I'll tend to just have everybody go around and just talk about something that's happened to them or their students since the last, meeting, that has to do around the idea of personalized learning. And that's so uplifting, because that's really actually where everything starts generating from, is once we've gone around the group, it could be that we then ask somebody to expand on what they had shared with us, and it just tends to go in that direction. I'm also really mindful, though, of making sure that we aren't just kind of spinning in the same direction, and that we're not growing our understanding and really fleshing out the various components of personalized learning. So, but again, trying to have that balancing act, that you don't want it to become so rigid that you lose just that beautiful part of conversation about our teaching practices.
Excellent. So do you guys, because I know when I received a book list from Stacy Reeder, and I'm confident your book list is the same, if not longer, do you talk about books? Do you do book studies? Do you just, somebody will say, hey, I'm reading this, and this has really moved me in this way? What happens with the books, or anything?
I would say that we, more than anything, we probably share the titles.
I see.
We haven't done that. I can think of, we haven't done. Well, I take that back. There was one book, and it won't come to me right now, the exact title of it. But there was one book that we did, one or two books actually, back in the summer, that we all kind of started reading and talking about. But that fizzled to a certain degree, because it was overtaken by things that were much more at a higher level for us that we wanted to discuss. But it was interesting, because we still would weave back into those books and talk about them. But we definitely, every single meeting, we talk about not only professional books, but one of the richest conversations I think we have is about the books, since we are ELA teachers, the books that we are using with our students. And, for somebody that's just gone back into the classroom, it's been really rich to hear these other wonderful teachers talking about the rich literature that they're using, and that's helped me to support me also.
Do you find that, book studies, even though they're prevalent, it almost, in a way, seems like a thing of the past with Twitter and the just-in-time professional development? Which one do you feel yields the best result for you? And is it more of a time sensitivity of Twitter allows you to keep developing yourself when you don't have much time, and then the books are where you can really dig in deeply in a richer way? Is that how you would look at it, or do you think it's a bit differently?
Well, and I think it would depend on who you ask in the Merakis, because we're all different. We learn differently. For me, I would say, now that I'm back in the classroom, I would say without a doubt my go-to would be Twitter, because it's quick and I can do it. I'm sitting at a stoplight or something like that. I can real quick look at Twitter, and I love getting that immediate, and I have people that I'm following that are ELA teachers, and so I don't have to wait for a book to come out. Now, on the other hand, I also really respect those people that have been able to publish a book, and that their experiences that they've had. So I would say I probably do more reading in the summer then, along with Twitter, but it's difficult to do during the school year. So
I understand. So obviously this concept works, and it's so intriguing to me, because as being a district central office person, we try to find systems that work. We've recognized in the district that cohorts work, and you've created one of the first cohorts with the tablet project back in 2005?
2006, yeah.
2006. So that was successful, where everybody received a laptop and a projector after or as they were going through some comprehensive professional development that was really pivotal to changing our district's direction, in my opinion. So why do you think this particular concept works?
Probably the biggest reason is passion. For some reason, personalized learning resonates with teachers, and not all teachers, but many teachers. I think because it takes us back to why we became teachers. It's about it's about passion. It's about, for the kids also, it's about what they're interested in. It's about the relationships between the teacher and the students. It's about respecting those students. And so I think it's just really grabbed our attention more than anything else. I've been in groups that have, or I've gotten together with colleagues and we've done planning together. This is highly different than anything else I've ever experienced, because it is a group of people and it was born out of passion. Often when you get together to just plan, it's not that you're not passionate about that, because I think most of us enjoy doing that also, but that's more something you do so that you can, teach better, right? And this is, we're trying to teach better, but it's also about supporting each other. I think it's a group of people that have this common passion, who are getting together. They're talking about ways to help kids to not only read better and write better, but also to be to love learning. And then we go and we try it out in our classrooms, and nobody's telling us to do this, we're just doing it. And we go back into our classrooms and we test these things out, and then we come back together and we share what's working, what's not working, what should we try. Well, I tried this. And so I think it was just nobody telling us what to do, just kind of wanting to do it because it felt right inside to us.
Gotcha.
And I think teachers, they have so much to share and so much excitement, and that's the other thing I've seen with this group is just the excitement, like this renewed excitement about teaching and about learning. And we've just seen the results that we've seen in such a very short amount of time is very exciting. And I think it just feeds us because we can see the joy on the kids' faces. But I have to tell you also, the feedback that we're getting from the parents is phenomenal. So I think that feeds us also.
Awesome. So how many Merakis are there? Did you say 18?
I think so. I haven't looked lately, and that they don't all come every single month. We, especially during the school year, it's very difficult. I've had to cancel for various reasons because people couldn't come. But I would say, on average, we probably have about 12 people that come to the meetings.
As you guys try strategies, because you said you try things in the classroom and then you come back and you talk about those. Is that only in the next Meraki meeting, or do you guys have a communication channel that you guys are constantly using to share things, or basically it's the Meraki group is where that happens?
Yeah, I think the sixth grade team has established, I think it's mostly email, where they do a lot of sharing of ideas in between Meraki meetings. The largest section of our Merakis are sixth grade teachers. So I think there's probably at least 6 of them, I would think. The other grade levels are more scattered. So there's, maybe like 3 or 4 fifth grade teachers, and not everybody comes each month. So they're not the groups are not as well formed at those grade levels. So I would say most of our interactions are occurring at the Meraki meetings. I think, again, it's just teachers are so busy that it's really hard to communicate in between too much. I would love, that would be like, this summer we've already started talking about what we want to do this summer, and so I'd like to come up with something that's a little bit more formal in terms of where we can share stuff, so that it's much more easily accessible. We do have like a Google folder, but even that, like, I never think to put stuff in there, so it's just hard because we're so busy.
Right. I hear you. When I was in Ben Scholl's room, one of the communication channels that he recommended was Slack. So that might be something worth reviewing.
We did, and we're using Voxer too.
Okay.
But even that has dissipated a little bit. Just the sheer lack of time to be able to do that kind of stuff.
It's hard to gain traction on those when if everybody isn't invested in it and doing it continually, it will die. Yeah. Most likely.
Yeah.
So. Oh, also, and now I know Kim Grubich is in your group, and she's a math teacher. She said, I need to go to the Merakis. So are there any other math teachers? Is Kim the only math teacher? Or
No, but interestingly, we have an IS, an intervention specialist that comes. And then really thrilling to me is we have a first grade teacher, Sarah Kitzmiller, that comes. And when I've kind of asked her, Sarah, why she comes, it really, I think for her, we'd have to ask her and maybe do an interview with Sarah also. I think that it's uplifting to her. I think she needs, it's sustenance for teachers. It feeds us. And she is very much craving that type of where you have a group of teachers that want to grow, like they're excited about growing and having the opportunity to get together and talk about ways in which we can help kids learn better. I do worry about her though, because, and she's an adult, she can handle it, but I worry that, is she able to have conversations with her peers when they're not coming,
when
which
they're
is
not in the
fine,
meetings.
right? And can she transfer that? But I've just said to Sarah, just come, and she comes almost every month. So I think that's really wonderful that she does that.
Maybe she'll share this interview, and some of her first grade teachers are going to want to
like, oh,
come,
that's right.
or even if they're from other buildings, because I do think some of that organic conversation that doesn't seem like it's driven for any other purpose than just sheer passion, kind of ground up, kind of innovation, really.
Yes.
Even though personalization, they wouldn't, others might not call it innovative. I think it is. It is a change of practice, and it is looking at every student uniquely and trying to maximize their potential.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give other districts if they wanted to start their own Meraki group?
Well, I think...
Or does it go back to the district doesn't?
Yes, exactly. I think it's key that it doesn't necessarily come from, like central office or whatever. I think that it has to come out of just a deep desire to learn more about it. I think that it would be an interesting thing to try to... oh gosh, what do I want to say? To try to spread the ideas of Merakis to other people. And I'm sure there's other people doing Meraki type of things, maybe a different topic also. I'm not silly enough to believe that we're the only ones. But I think it just has... I think you want to... from a central office perspective, I would think you want to just encourage that type of thing. And certainly it... you don't want it to go against anything that the district's trying to do either. And so I've very much kept, Natasha Adams, the director of curriculum, I've kept her in the loop of everything that we're doing. And, so I think that's important. So I just think it's really about a culture. It's a culture that you breed, and a respect for teachers and a respect for their time and a respect for... Almost every teacher I know is passionate about teaching and loves kids. And so how do you tap into that and give them reason to want to actually take, you go home and then you get back in your car and you drive over to my house, and how do you get people to even want to do that? And I think it's miraculous too. And we've all said that if it ever, disappears, then that's fine. But right now, when I've had to cancel it, they've been not happy about that. So, so we'll just keep it up as long as anybody's interested in it.
Well, I do think the group is incredibly special, and that's why I wanted to showcase it, because, when I'm in classrooms and I'm hearing, well, at the Merakis, what I love about it as well, like when I was in Meg Treglia's room and she was talking about some of her practices, she was very quick to say, this is not just me. This is the Meraki way. And I think that culture of, I didn't create this, I'm not out for notoriety. This is a shared collection of work, and we all contribute to it. I think has so much value, and I think it brings such pride to that particular group. So would you allow, and I could only say this for the Cincinnati area, I don't think anybody else would travel that far, but you never know, would you be willing for teachers from other districts to be able to even attend a Meraki meeting, just possibly to even see what it's about, how it works, or secondarily, just to become part of the group? Say that someone in a neighboring district is interested, very interested in this work. They don't have, the groundswell going in their district. What's your willingness to allow that to happen? Because it happens at your house.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons that I'm proposing this, plus you started it. So
yeah. I just think, it's not an exclusive club at all. I don't necessarily go out and ask people. Most everybody that how we went from 5 or 6 to 18 was just people hearing about it and then asking. And so I'm always fine to let people, join us. That is fine. The biggest thing, of course, would be just the place that we would meet, the location. We're kind of at capacity at my home, but certainly anybody. I just think that in today's world, too, it's easier than ever to communicate with each other and to grow. And so, yeah, anybody that would be interested, we would love to have them.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. I'm so excited to share about the Merakis, and I hope that people enjoy it. And what's your Twitter handle so that people can reach out to you?
It is at Charrod, Charrod.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Cary.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.